Hey guys, in this video I'll show you a couple of ways you can glitch up your sounds in Ableton Live, so let's get started. Alright, so I've loaded a really simple drum loop, so let's take a listen. So there's two ways you can kind of glitch this up a bit more. One is just to edit it straight up in the arrangement view. So you can just grab little snippets here, duplicate them. You can select other regions, press R to reverse, press Command D to duplicate, and you can press Command 4 to remove the grid. So you can grab really short little snippets and duplicate those. So that's certainly one way you can go about it, but the other more powerful way in my opinion is to use clip envelopes. All right, let's open up the clip. So you double click it to open it. And then first let's look here in this little drop down here where you have different kinds of algorithms for how the audio is processed and warped. So for each one of these, you get different kinds of properties. So for beats, we get the ability to transpose, and then we get the sample offset, the position within the sample. So in order to automate these parameters, we need to open the envelopes. So you do that by clicking this button at the bottom left here. Let's just pick the clip here because we want to edit the clip properties, and then from the second drop down we'll get the available options. So because we have beats selected, in this drop down we can choose the volume, transposition, and sample offset. So sample offset, as the name suggests, offsets where it starts in the sample. And what's cool is that you can use this line here to then in real time draw where the sample is playing at any given time. So for example, let me select the second part here, hover my mouse next to the line and drag it up. I'm just doing very simple square wave type of shapes here. But if you want to get super glitchy, then you can actually draw these lines freehand, and you can actually hold Option while dragging a line to curve it up and down. And you can even insert LFO shapes by right clicking and selecting a zone here like a sine wave, and then Command D to duplicate it. And then you can select very small regions here and alter the shape up and down. You can also globally skew a specific set of automation by selecting the region and then grabbing these little squares and kind of just dragging them up and down. So I'm gonna insert a really tiny square wave. The other thing we can change is the transposition. So we can switch over to that, and then we get a completely fresh new envelope to work with. So you can freely draw curves that'll alter the pitch of the sound. The other cool thing you can do with clip envelopes is you can make them loop independently of the actual loop that's happening in the arrangement. So if you see here, it says it's linked. If you click on this, you can unlink it from the actual global timing, and now you can set independent loop zones. And this is an easy way to add a consistent LFO. For example, I can set my loop zone, select it, and then draw a sine wave. And of course we can set this independently for the sample offset, so we can unlink this as well. And then we can change the amplitude by just dragging these little squares. So of course you can combine what I talked about at the beginning, so you can still go up here and create your little glitchy loops here by reversing some stuff. So I have another drum loop open, so let's mute this one here. So one thing you can do is stretch this in time to begin with. So if you hold shift and drag from the edge, it'll actually squeeze it down. So now we're getting this really quick kind of drum and bassy type of beat. So I'm gonna go up here and consolidate this clip so that we have one single envelope to work with. So if I double click and enter the clip mode again, we can select beats from our algorithm, pick the clip here, and then you can choose transpose here. Create some shapes here, hold Option to add curves, and then you can select everything with Command A and then squeeze everything down if you think that the values are too drastic. And then if you hover your mouse next to the curve, you can drag the whole thing up and down. And now let's go into the sample offset and do the same thing. So let's switch over. I have a guitar loop here, so let's take a listen. So because we have more of a textural instrument now, let's switch over to texture. And you'll notice now we have grain size and flux, where a grain is basically a small slice within the sample. And here you can select that size of the slice. And flux just adds some randomness. what gets really crazy now is when we start to modulate this using envelope. Select clip up here, and now you'll notice we've unlocked grain size and flux in addition to transposition. Again, just kind of drawing random shapes. And then maybe we'll add a very small sine wave here and duplicate. Now let's modulate the flux, and again we can do the same things here. I can always jump into my flux and paste it here if I want the exact same modulation for both. It's almost like you're painting. And then I can go to my grain size and maybe do the opposite here and drag this down. And of course, if you want to draw this freehand a bit faster, you can press the B key to enter draw mode. And then if you hold Command or Control while dragging, you can get a really smooth curve. So I can go here and really draw some crazy shapes. And of course, you can change the transposition as well. So I can go here and draw these crazy transposition curves. And of course, you can do what I said before. You can go up here, duplicate some regions, reverse some sections. So now if we combine it with our glitchy drums from before. All right, so I'm gonna mute those and I'm gonna unmute my last one, which is again another guitar loop. So we'll just do a final example here. For example, I can still choose the beats even though I'm playing a guitar here, and then we can change the sample offset for this guitar. And then we can go and transpose it, and we can maybe make it a little more subtle this time. And for very short periods of time to create these kind of random glitchy bursts. And now we can add some reverb and delay here. And then maybe go here and reverse this section. And bring in one of our drums from before. And maybe we can stretch this out to make it a bit slower. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next.